Hello. Hello, everyone. How are you today? I hope you're doing exceedingly well. Twila Belk has worked with world-renowned author C.S. Murphy for many, many years. She's co-authored his books with him, published several of her own, and by the way, she speaks at events and conferences around the country every single year. My other guest, Robin Grunder, is a well-known blogger, an author, ghostwriter, and workshop leader. She just returned from presenting at the SoCal, which is the Southern California Christian Writers Conference. We're going to talk about both of those today. I met both of these fine ladies in 2011 at the last year of Twila's conference for Quad Cities Christian Writers Group. I don't think that my presence there had any direct bearing on the fact that that was the last year. I hope not.
That was it.
Hi, I'm Patricia Durgan, the Christian Message Coach, and this is Marketers on a Mission, the live show to equip and encourage Christian writers and speakers. This is episode number 93, my interview with multi-published author Twila Belk and ghostwriter author Robin Grunder. Welcome, Robin. Welcome, Twila. How are you?
Thank you. Doing well, thanks.
Yes,
Thanks for having us.
So good to see both of you. So let's talk for just a moment, Twila, about you. You are the gotta tell somebody gal. Tell us about that. How did that tag come upon you?
Well, it's not because I like to talk or anything. I'm a person, I call myself a writer and speaker who loves bragging on God. And for many years, if something would happen in my life, something exciting, something I saw God do, I would say just automatically, I got to tell somebody. And I would just do that. And over the years, that kind of developed. And I thought, you know what? I'm the got to tell somebody gal. And that has worked well because I like I said, I just love telling people about what God has done. I love telling people about cool things. And even as working for Cecil Murphy, I would tell people about him. And so I call myself kind of a mouth in the body of Christ.
Okay, I'm not even going to touch that one. We'll just let that one.
Big mouth.
We'll just let that one lay right there on the surface. And Robin, you're a ghostwriter, an author, a workshop leader, a mom, a longtime blogger. You wear a lot of hats too. And we have a development we're going to share just a moment. But what would be your tagline, or how would you like to be known? I know on your blog you say that your most favorite title is mom.
Yes. Well, my tagline that I use is live a page turner, leave a legacy. And my life and my story for a very long time has revolved around being a wife and a mom. And so I'm going to try and live each page, each day, in a way that is worthy of being a legacy.
That's a perfect answer. We all want that, but you're doing it with intentionality and helping others do it, right?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
I'm keeping an eye on the comments and questions as well. And Twila, Rob Westerland says, hello.
Hi, Rob. Long time no see. I just found out that Rob has been writing a book, and he's going to be getting that published here eventually. So good for you, Rob.
Yay. Good news. So Twila, even though you've worked for Cease for a long time and you've co-written with him, and now you're writing on your own, speaking of which, your most recent beautiful book is The Power to Be. I know that that's backwards, but I couldn't help that. I couldn't do a thing about that. It's beautiful. It's a 40-day devotional, isn't it?
Yes.
40 days?
Yes, it is.
So beautiful.
I'm really proud of it. The publisher, Broad Street Publishing, did a beautiful job with it. And there's 4 different sections in that book: be still, be grateful, be strong, be courageous. And I'm just real thrilled with the way it came about. And it's one of those God things.
And he gives you plenty. You said you were the guy to tell somebody, gal. And I mean, he gives you plenty of content, doesn't he?
Oh, I have too much. It's like, okay, we use our life experiences and how, what we learn about God through those. And, my family gives me plenty of good, things to write about. But I've had enough. It's like sometimes we have to live what we speak and write about, and we have to be well versed in it. And my topic just happens to be trust in a big God, and trust is my topic. So God wants me well versed in it. And so I have to go through a bunch of stuff that isn't always the funnest. And so I've said, it's time for me to change my topic. I want to be well versed in something else, like how to be happy with $1 million while living in the Caribbean and looking great in a bikini. I want to be well versed in that.
He always teaches us what he wants us to teach our audience, doesn't he?
Yes, exactly. He wants us to know it well. And then I'm at a spot right now where I am having to really live out. I was living it out before, but I'm having to really live out what I wrote about in The Power to Be because of our situation at home. And it's like, oh, I thought I had learned all of this before, Lord, but it just keeps coming back, those same messages. And I said, I'd rather give my sermons to someone else other than to me, but I'm always giving myself my own sermons.
He sends refreshers even after we've learned very well and very deeply and thoroughly. He sends us refreshers.
That's right.
And the Christian life cannot go stagnant. He won't allow it.
That's right.
And Robin, you have 17 children, is it? Or 3 or somewhere in the middle there?
They all kind of blend together. Literally, my husband Brian and I have a blended family. There's 9 of us, 7 kids, 2 dogs and 1 cat that thinks she is a dog. Most of our kids are adult kids and in college, and our 2 youngest are in high school. So I used to joke that added up to a lot of laundry, and now the joke is that it adds up to a lot of college tuition. But the truth is that none of that is a joke.
True.
So our oldest is married, and we are expecting our first grandchild this fall.
Congratulations. And you still look like you're in junior high, so I'm just not sure how you can be a grandmother in a few months.
I think I was meant to be a grandma.
Why do you say that?
I'm just really excited about it.
I know that you're a great mother. I know that you'll be a superb grandmother.
Yes.
Thank you.
For sure. So now you just recently got an agent. Isn't that right? You've been writing for years, but you just were blessed with an agent. Tell me about that, please.
That's correct. So I first met my agent, Cynthia Ruckty, at the Quad Cities Christian Writers Quad City Christian Writers Conference many years ago. And Twila connected us again. Twila was helping me put my idea that I had into a proposal format. And Cynthia liked the idea enough to want to sign with me. And now the things that I have been helping other people do, which is writing for the purpose of leaving a spiritual legacy. I get to actually write a book about that now. So, and maybe even more than one. Yes.
Maybe build an entire platform on it. Excuse me. Write more books, present at more conferences and so forth, because it's a very needed topic in the Christian world, isn't it?
It is. And I've been sort of like, writing on the JV team for a while, teaching smaller workshops about how to write, what to write, the importance of writing, and why it's important and what God says about it. And I feel really fortunate that this idea is actually catching on at Christian writers conferences, that other writers want to hear about that and want to know about that as well.
That's cool. We're going to talk just a little bit more in depth about that and how the word legacy connects both of you together, individually and together. But first I want to ask you, Twila, you've worked with Cease and you're doing your own thing at the same time, but now you're sort of transitioning away from Cease due to his own choices and his own stage of life. And now you've got a new persona. It's the Writers Champion. Tell me about that, please.
Well, as Cease is transitioning into retirement and doing those kinds of things and learning to love life more and more, I am transitioning into that Writer's Champion. I've learned a lot over the years through all of my experiences and through working with Cease, who's considered to be a patriarch in the industry. I know a lot about a lot of stuff. I know a lot of people. I have a lot of connections. And so I love helping other writers. When I speak at writers conferences, when I teach there, I love doing the one-on-one appointments. And that's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm hoping to go more and more into helping other writers by coaching them, by editing, by helping them rewrite, and get their projects into print, and those kinds of services that help other writers, and come alongside them and champion their efforts and be their cheerleader, and just help them with all their next steps.
Because it's a very isolating process, isn't it? Both of you know that. You've done it for years. It's an isolating process. Not that it's not worth it, but we are naive at best to think that we can do all of these things by ourselves. It's not possible.
Yeah, and a lot of people who are starting out writing, and they don't know how it works, and they are really surprised to know that they need to know a few things first. A lot of people think all they have to do is write something, and there are going to be all these publishers just waiting, and all these readers waiting for them. Well, it doesn't work that way. We have a lot of things we have to do first to get it out there and be seen, and then they're not going to know about your book unless they've heard about it or about you first, and that's the platform. There's so many elements involved in that, but so I want to work with aspiring writers, beginning writers, intermediate writers, people who have questions about their next steps, and just help them help them with some guidance.
I can vouch for her.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say, I know Twila could do it, because right here you are.
She's been champion, my writer's champion. She has, like I said, in the last 6 months, helped me get from sitting the bench on JV to dressing varsity. So,
and the rewards that come with that.
Exactly.
Because you've been filling the role, you've been accepting the duties and the responsibilities for a long time. But that going to that next level, that's different altogether, isn't it?
It is.
And together you have both achieved that one goal for you, Robin, and then you will help other people achieve their goals. It's the way God works, isn't it?
The one thing, can I mention something about Robin? The one thing that really is great about Robin is that she's a learner. She has always wanted to, she takes what you challenge her to do, and she works with it, and she's always learning. Back when we had the Writers Conference, the Quad Cities Christian Writers Conference that we've talked about, that was a conference I was the director of for, I think it was 8 years, and Robin was there just about at every conference, I think, but one or two, and she even won our first Promising Pen Award, because we just saw that she had such talent, and she was just a gifted writer back then, but she is constantly out there trying to learn new things, and she is connecting with people and networking, and I am so proud of her, because I know God has wonderful things in store for her, and she's going to be helping a lot of people in the future.
Yes.
For his story. Yeah.
Got the heart for it, doesn't she?
She sure does.
Let me see if we have anything else. Brian Grunder. I don't remember.
Oh, I've heard that name.
Hi, honey.
He's an anonymous supporter, he says.
Hi, honey.
Did you pay him $1 to do that?
No, he is my biggest supporter, and I couldn't do what I do, not just practically, but like emotionally and encouragement wise, without him. So
good. It's wonderful to have a good partner. Thank you.
yes.
Okay, so speaking of people in our lives, tell me about legacy. I know that it's an important concept for you, Robin, and then we'll segue right into that same topic for Twila. Go ahead, Robin, please.
Okay. So, I just want to say I stumbled into the idea of legacy writing, not necessarily on purpose. My writing roots have been in journalism. I discovered that I really had a knack for helping people share a story with a different audience in writing, and that led to referrals for ghostwriting. Thank you, Twila, and Cease. And one time I was visiting my grandmother at her retirement home. She was in an independent living retirement home, and she was telling me about a class that she was taking about legacy writing, writing her life story. And she was overwhelmed. She's like, I want to write it, but I don't know where to begin. And as it would turn out, she already had a lot written down, which is a long story, but I had known that. And I told her that, and we found a lot of her journals, a lot of, those fill in the blank things that every grandparent gets from every grandchild, like tell me what your favorite food was, tell me how much your first car costs, all of those starts and stops. And she had asked me if I would help her compile those into a document that all she wanted to do was print them out and give them to her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And that's what I was helping other people do, not necessarily their life story or legacy story, but helping people ghostwrite their story or write their story for a magazine or newspaper. So I helped my grandma do that. And it was a process. And in that process, I got to know my 90-year-old grandma as a child, and as a newlywed, and as a young mom. And I had a rough manuscript typed up. I mean, she still had things she wanted scanned and added to, but I had a manuscript all typed up with her picture and her name on the front. And I called my dad and asked him if he'd like to go with me to present it to her. And just watch her see this in writing, her dream. And when my dad called me back, he had said that Grandma fell asleep in Iowa and she woke up in heaven.
Before she saw it?
Before she saw it.
Oh.
But her words were there and documented, and 3 days later at her funeral, her entire family and friends got to hear in her own words how she wanted to be remembered and what was important to her. And I knew, it's hard for me not to cry, I knew that is what I wanted to do for people. And it's biblical. God tells us to share our stories and write our stories, not for the purpose of mass publication, although that could happen, but so that our generations that follow us will know where they came from and how to live because they know where they came from. That's all over the Bible. When people knew the stories and remembered the stories, they knew how to live and pass those stories on. When they didn't know the stories, when the stories stopped, they wandered in disaster. I want to be a part of that. And I'm, like I said, just getting started with all that. So my main message is probably right now to write your story, whether it's ever published or not, because it will matter whether you think it's exciting or not.
The people that love us think it's very interesting and very exciting, don't they?
They do. And like I said, I got to know my 90-year-old grandma. I got to know some things that she learned, when she was my age and even younger. And I never would have had that opportunity to do that had she not written those stories down. And there's somewhere else that I wanted to go with that. But, when our children or our grandchildren hear something like, oh, just never give up, it doesn't mean as much as if they had a story written by Grandma about a time that she never gave up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brings it completely alive, changes it completely, doesn't it?
Yes.
And that's the book that you're writing currently?
So there's a series of books around that idea. So that's what I'm hoping to do. I haven't actually gotten farther than the proposal stage on that. Right now I'm currently ghostwriting and coaching other people in doing that. So I hope to kind of get my act and my schedule and my work rhythms in order so I can get that done, because I have an agent now.
Which is such, Twila, help us understand what a big deal it is to have an agent, please.
Oh, it's really a big deal. And I'm so excited for her. Because she's got a great one. She really does. But, a lot of people will get started writing and they think, oh, I need to get an agent right away. But there's so much that goes into getting an agent. And agents don't just accept anybody as a client. They look at a lot of things, like the quality of the writing, the platform that they have, the audience, and just so many things that that goes into getting an agent. And they have to believe that they will be able to sell the product from that. And so a good place to connect with agents is through writers' conferences. You have the opportunity to have one-on-one appointments with agents there. But it's very few people that they sign up. And so for Robin to, it shows that Robin really did a great job with her proposal and showed that she's got a product there that's really going to make a difference, and that a lot of people would be interested in. It's really a good thing.
When a professional who has high standards,
yeah,
including marketability.
Yes, marketability is really good, because publishers are not going to publish something that nobody's going to read. Yes. And how are people going to know about it unless you're out there getting the word out? And so many people think all they got to do is get a book out there. Well, they might sit with hundreds and thousands of copies in their garage. If they, you have to have an audience. You have to have channels for those books to go. So you need to be working on that right now, even while you're in the process. And I know that Robin is really working on that, and she's doing a great job. She's getting to conferences and speaking and making those connections, and she's joining groups that have commonalities with her message, and she's doing all the right things. Like I said, Robin just continues to learn and continues to do all those things that she's been taught, and so she's a great example of what to do. And a lot of agents maybe wouldn't have picked Robin as a client because she didn't have the huge platform, but they saw what she had to offer and the wonder, the idea. And so I'm excited about that for her.
Yes,
I had a writer's champion in my corner.
And it's not my title, but I'm on her side with you. Let me see if we have any more comments. Lori Tracy Baruch says, hello, friend.
Hi, Lori.
Lori.
She's another one of our Quad City gals.
Let's see if we have anybody else.
I think she won the Promising Pen Award one year, too.
Oh, my goodness. So now, Twila, you have said, we talked about legacy just a little bit, but you have a special place in your heart for legacy too, especially as it's regarding this beautiful, beautiful 40-day devotional, The Power to Be. Tell me about it. Robin's got her copy.
Oh, you guys are great. It was funny, as Robin was talking about passing our stories down from generation to generation, you got to tell somebody. That's what you got to do. And if you look at the Bible, you see all these people were got to tell somebody, people. David, you've got to tell your story. And they talked about in Deuteronomy, tell your kid, write it on the thresholds of your, do all of this stuff. You got to tell people your story, because if you don't, all those wonderful things we know to be true about God won't be remembered. And we have forgetful minds. So anyhow, that's why I'm glad I write, because that way I remember the messages I was. Anyhow, The Power to Be, that was a project that I didn't even do a proposal for. It's something that the publisher came to me with while I was in the midst of cancer treatments. treatments for an aggressive breast cancer. And they said, Twila, we've been praying for you, and we'd like, want to know, are you interested in doing more books with us? And they presented this idea and a couple others, and they even gave it the title. I didn't even come up with it. And I thought, well, I'm going to pray about, of course I want to do another book with them. I did Raindrops from Heaven with them, gentle reminders of God's power, presence, and purpose. And that was a 1-year devotional. And so they threw out this idea of a 40-day devotional, and I prayed about it, and they gave it this title. And as I'm praying about it, I'm thinking, these are all the messages that I speak about and talk about, but it's packaged in a different way. And so in the writing of this book, I spent a lot of time in prayer, and it's the messages. I could, I call it my legacy book, because it's got all those messages that I believe in and I teach and I write about. And I said I could die tomorrow knowing that everything I needed to have said is said, although I don't have any plans on dying tomorrow, but it's like I would know that everything's out there. And I'm thrilled about that, because that was definitely a God thing about how it came about. No proposal. I mean, this doesn't happen in the industry, so I'm thrilled, and I believe it is something that God wanted out there. And
it's got great reviews, doesn't it?
Well, I've had a lot of good feedback from it. I'd love to get more reviews on Amazon and stuff. They deleted some. I don't know why, but Amazon does strange things like that at times. But just getting some good feedback, a lot of good feedback from people, how it's meant what it's meant to them and how it's helped them. That's what keeps me going.
You're very, very good at it. Very good.
No,
this book wasn't the first go round that made you good at it. You were good at it long before this book came out. Let me check and see if there's anything here. I think somebody else had something to say. Let me check. I have to refresh. Nope. I thought I saw something. It'll come back. So 2 things I want to mention. One is, before we go to the next question, and one is that you both have vibrant websites, and I will add the links to both of those websites above the video. So anybody who's watching the live or the replay, you'll have access to those links to websites immediately after this episode ends. And tell me, both of you, please, what's your current, now I know, we've already gone around it a little bit, but what's your current / next project that you're really focusing on? Is it what we've already talked about? Robin?
Yeah, Robin.
Me? So, yes, my current projects include books with my agent, and as well as I'm coaching / ghostwriting, probably more like book doctoring is what Cease calls it, for people. Right now I have one big project going on. Occasionally I have, some people that just need to get started, or they don't know where to start, or they have something and they just wonder how to make it flow better. So I am taking on, those kind of projects. I am pretty busy right now as far as building this as a platform, which is brand new for me. So if you haven't liked my pages or gone to visit me on my area of the World Wide Web, I would really appreciate that, because apparently that's important to publishers. So yeah, and I am working on a way to streamline my efforts to help other people launch their life and legacy stories.
Love it. And you recently, I don't know how old your newest blog, newest website is, but it's really beautiful.
Thank you. I really do need to do some updates on it.
It doesn't look like it. It's beautiful.
Okay.
At robingrunder.org.
That's right.
Okay. And Twila, yours is?
GottaTellSomebody.com.
And tell us is your current project. You have so many, like everybody, every writer and speaker has multiple projects cooking all the time.
Yeah.
But what's the one? Go ahead.
Your question?
I spoken just like a mother/teacher. Your question.
I interrupted.
It's okay. It's okay. Have you got something cooking for the future? Are you still working on Power to Be, the platforming, the marketing of it? Or have you got something new cooking even in your brain yet?
As far as a book project, I'm not working on anything specific right now for me. I've got some ideas percolating. I've been writing some different devotions for online places and things, still doing a little bit of work for Cease, even though he's retired. But I am just starting working with a woman who she and her husband are doing a book together. She is what's called a secondary survivor of sexual abuse. Her husband was sexually abused, and so she's writing it from the wife's perspective. And this is something that came about through something Cease and I had worked with her with, and then she wanted me to help her with it. It's like, oh, this is just wonderful. So I am helping her to get her book published. I'm helping her with editing, and I believe in her project, and I've never met her before, but God connected us somehow, and I'm committed to helping her get this book through to the end. And she's just got to get it out of her, and I'm going to help her get it out of her.
I sounded just a little bit off, but we're going to go with it.
Hey, I say, well, I'm not even going to go there because
yes. So
he's just got to tell somebody, and it's her story. Her message is important, and it's going to help a lot of people. And there really aren't a whole lot of books or resources coming from that angle right now. So I'm excited about being able to help her with that.
And you're still doing conferences as well. You just got finished with several this year.
Well, life is a little bit different for me right now. I've had to turn down a lot of travel that takes me away from home. So most things that I'm having to do right now are local things. I did a workshop locally at the Midwest Writing Center in Rock Island, Illinois, and taught a workshop there. But I'm a 24/7 caregiver for my husband now, and things are different. And it grieves me that I can't get out there like I did, but I'm just going to have to come up with other ways of getting out there to the people like this. And so I'm, kind of trying to figure out what that looks like. And there are a lot of things that my life is just different, and I got to figure it out. And I haven't figured it out yet. I'm too tired. There's the truth of it.
I don't think that we ever really get it figured out, especially in the writing or the speaking world. It's a movable feast, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And the big thing at the top of my, it's trust. That's where I'm at, my topic. So God is teaching me something. I don't know where we're going with this, for the next thing. It's hard feeling like you've been put on the shelf, although I know I'm not, because I talk about that with people. God is doing something in me and preparing me for the next big thing. And I guess I need to write more stories about caregiving and I'm not even going to say so. Forgetting to put the bucket in the commode and things like that. I've got plenty of material to use, but plenty of opportunities to trust and to pray big.
And Robin, you just recently came back from SoCal, which is the Southern California Christian Writers Conference. That was your very first foray, not as a conference member, but as a faculty member, right?
Yes, that was the first time that I have been asked to speak and lead at a writers conference for other writers. So that was really special for me to be on the giving end of that.
I know you did a great job.
I was a little nervous going in, naturally. I was thinking, writers go to writers' conferences because they want their story to be published, right? And my topic was why you should write your story even if it's never published. So I thought, who's going to really want to come to my sessions? And I had a really good turnout, and I had really good feedback. And I think it's because there are a lot of people who feel that go to writers' conferences and they feel called to tell one story, and that's their own. And so maybe a publisher won't want to pick it up. Maybe an agent won't see that vision right away, but they need that encouragement to write their story. I believe if you're called to write your own story, you should write your own story, whether an expert says you should or not. And that's just coming from my personal experience and my study in the Word. And so I was really excited that that was well received and caught on. Kathy Ide invited me. I had met her actually through Twila at a conference maybe a year and a half ago.
Last March, yes.
And then there were a few other faculty members that I met at that conference who had good things to say and wanted to refer me to other writers' conferences to speak at. So I'm actually really that comes into play for me. So
lots of good things. Everybody has a challenge. All three of us have a challenge right now. And God is working tremendously in each of our lives, isn't He?
For sure.
Personal and professional lives. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. So before we close up, let me make sure that I get the all-important question in there. You both are busy. You both are multi-talented. You're doing your own writing and you're helping other people write. But you're still, even though your calendar is full, it will change shortly and you will be available for new clients. Is that right? You're accepting new clients, both of you, Twila?
Yes.
And Robin?
Yes, that's correct. And even if there's a project that is a little too big for me to do right now and it can't wait, I probably know someone that can.
Exactly.
And you said the same thing, wouldn't you, Twila?
Yeah. I know lots of people. But I'm open to talking to people and looking at what it is that they need. And if I can't help them, then I can help them find someone who can. But we can help with coaching or maybe editing or helping with proposals or that kind of thing. So
because there are so many, as you mentioned earlier, Twila, there are so many facets of writing.
Oh yeah. There's a lot to it.
And only one part of it is writing.
That's right. Sad, isn't it? It really is. Yeah. It can be so frustrating to have this message in you and you get it out and then they tell you have to do all this other stuff.
But that's the times we live in, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love both of you. I appreciate both of you. And I so thank you for your time today. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for having us.
So much fun chatting with you both.
Yes, I agree. And I'm just telling you right now, I'm giving you a heads up, not next week, but in the months to come, I would love it if you would come back and leave that fly out of the way. I'd love it if you would come back. So think about that. We'll talk about scheduling another visit because you both have so much information, so much knowledge, you're each such a rich resource. I know that my viewers would really appreciate hearing even more from you and about you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. It was a pleasure to host you and viewers. This has been Marketers on a Mission, episode number 93. My interview with multi-published author Twila Belk and ghostwriter/author Robin Grunder. Tomorrow, I will be hosting Frank Ball again. He is another wonderful, rich.
No, Frank, hi, another Quad City Christian Writers Conference guy.
All four of us met there, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's nice to meet somebody that 8 years later, 7-8 years later, you're still connected. All of us are still connected. Thank you for that. You all will surely enjoy my interview with Frank tomorrow. It's going to happen right here at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, I'm Patricia Durgan, the Christian Message Coach, and I pray that more people hear the good news online because of your message. Thanks for being here. See you tomorrow.